Welcome to week five. So four down, two to go. We are going to start off with a Google tool that a lot of people are scared of, but it is one of my favorites, and that is Google Sheets. So let's take a look at our little agenda. Skills to master, conditional formatting, an in-cell drop-down list, and sorting and filtering. All of those things sound hard. They are all super simple. I will say if you follow kind of the directions that they have, in this slide deck, then they are very, very good. So if you kind of need some written step-by-step instructions, I would access this. I, of course, am going to do all of these things in this video as well. So one thing I want to point out is this big statement right here. Google Sheets can be used to analyze data efficiently. I recently did some Google Sheets training with our administrators, and some of them were blown away by the things that I was doing with their data, and they had no idea. They have never been doing it that way. So it can change your life, I promise. So I have a sample Google Sheet that I'm going to use for today. It is actually our BOE Know Before data. There is no personal identifiable information in there. Just don't judge us if somebody hasn't done their Know Before testing. So I would suggest getting a sheet of some kind to play with. I will maybe try to find something that I can link in this website for you to be able to kind of follow along the motions of what I'm doing too, so that you can have a pretty data rich sheet to work with. I will also say I have used sheets with students. If you're looking for an application with students, I taught some guest lessons in career prep for a school last year, and I made the students go in and look at their Power School grade books, and they had to do their assignments and put in their averages and calculate their averages and keep it all in a running Google Sheet. So there are lots of things that you can do with students in this too, and then it also can make your life a lot easier too. So let's jump right in. I'm going to work in my Know Before sheet. To kind of filter out and show you some different ways that we can present this data. So I have exported this from from Know Before into a Google Sheet. And so right now it is a lot to look at, just the whole way it's sitting. So you also keep in mind can take Google Forms and export your data from Google Forms into Google Sheets and be able to analyze your data that way. So the first thing I always do is I'm going to apply a filter because I want to be able to, if I want to sort by email, first name, last name, job, if they have started it, if they finished it, how much time they spent on it, I want to be able to sort by any of those categories that I want. Used to the old school way is that you could sort by column, which is fine, but then I may end up with Ashley Smith or, Shane Palmer because my data is not going to stay cohesive throughout the row. So applying filters is going to help do that. So I am going to click on the number one row, column. When you get that established, the number one row. I'm going to go all the way across and find a little icon that looks like an upside down triangle with a stick coming out of it, and it is the Create a Filter button. And I'm going to click it. So it is going to make a filter and it's going to include all of the data that is currently in my sheet. If you have a sheet you're continuously adding data to, then you may need to come back and undo the filter and put it back to include all the new data you've added. Okay. So now I have these little drop downs. I'm going to make my screen a little bit bigger so you can see that. I have these little triangles for everything, which means that now I can sort by last name A to Z. I can sort by first name, Z to A, email, A to Z, and I can generate my list and look at it however I want to, if I want to do it that way. So, filtering, first off, super important to be able to sort our data. The next couple of things we're going to do, I'm going to zoom back out a little bit so that you can see. Have different things. So our whole goal of Know Before is I want to know who has started and who has not. Okay. So I can sort my list, by who has started and be able to get a list of who has not. But let's say that I want it to color code it for me. Okay. So that is called conditional formatting. Basically. So we're going to apply rules that based on certain conditions, that they are going to color code. I'm actually going to use this status column right here. And I want to get rid of some of this stuff. So I'm going to take columns I through PQ Highlight those, right click. I'm going to hide them. I just don't need them for right now. It's too much to look at. Okay. So now I am focused again on column R. So I'm going to select column R. I am going to go to data and data validation. So I went to data, data validation. You also can right click your column and do data validation. So I am going to, this is my drop down list. We'll go back and do the color coding in just a second. So I am going to make actually, let's not do that. Let's go back and do conditional formatting for this one. Okay, so never mind. Right click conditional formatting, or you can go to format conditional formatting. So these are going to be my rules. So I'm going to apply it to this whole range in R. So I am going to do, if my text contains the word past, I want that to turn green. And I'm going to add another rule. If my text contains not started, and notice that I have the exact same text that is listed in the sheet. If I had not put that underscore, this would not have picked up, okay? And I'm going to make it red. And so now for every person that this is added to, it is going to color code my cells. So if I go back and I sort this, I'm going to delete those just because I don't want it to mess up this. And I sort this list by first name. I now have all of my, everybody's in alphabetical order, and then I've got my conditional formatting. This would be a great thing to do for grading purposes, to conditionally format, and you can add a rule that if it is greater than or equal to, or that it's between certain numbers, and it will color code scores for you. So you have just built a spreadsheet right there. Okay, so now let me pull out this manager name one really quickly and hide this. Okay, so in my manager name category, I have some different options because I have a couple of different managers right here. So now we're going to do the data validation. This is a drop down list. And so I'm going to do this two ways so that you can kind of see how to do this. So data validation. I'm going to take this, I'm going to add a rule. So now I'm going to color code. If my manager is Ashley Harrison, that's going to be purple. Cherie is going to be red. Mr. Clements is going to be blue. I just had manager name, I'm going to delete that. We're going to do Michelle yellow, and then Nick is going to be black. And so now within my manager name category, I have got different color coded drop downs that I can set. So what this is really good for is that if you want to make a list where your end user has to choose a certain option, this is a great thing to do that with. So let me clear this column really quickly. And now let me show you what you can do if you have a blank column. So I'm going to go to data and data validation again for column D. So I'm going to add a rule. I have column D highlighted, so I want it to be a drop down. And so my choices are going to be teacher, administrator, I'm just making up things, classified, or other. And so I want those to be the only things that my people can choose from on this list. So if I'm going to send this to them, now they can choose if they want to be a teacher or what their role is, and they cannot type in anything else. So again, if you have specific options that you want your people to choose from, this is going to be a great tool for that. So you can either choose an existing list and create a drop down list, or you can create your own. So filtering is number one, being able to sort. Conditional formatting, being able to highlight certain numbers in your data, and then also creating that in-cell drop-down list. I will give you another example of what I use for conditional formatting is I have a giant spreadsheet where the employees who fail phishing tests, I copied all of their names into. If a person's email address appears more than two times, their name turns red. And so then I know which names have failed more than three times because the red catches my eye. So that's a really good way to do that. Also, when we're sorting with your filtering, just going back to there, you can filter by color if you're using conditional formatting. You also can filter by just one item. So if you only want to build a list, like you're copying this or you just want to print this list, then you can look right here and just filter out by certain parameters if you want to. The last thing on our little checklist is about our tabs. So in Google Sheets, this whole thing is called a Google Sheet or a workbook. And then we have tabs at the bottom. I'm going to move my toolbar out of the way that are different sheets. So BOE is my tab. I can duplicate it, which means I can just copy this tab. I can also copy it to a new spreadsheet. I can rename it. I can change the color of it if I want to. It puts a little line under it. And then I can go to different schools and I can make them different colors. It's a little hard to see because my window is right at the bottom. I'm going to raise that up a little bit. Maybe you can see the different colors that are located right there. I also can protect this sheet so that I'm the only one who can edit this. And I also can hide it from my view. And so then my end users can't see that one. And then it says if you're an editor, you can unhide your sheets from there. Another thing you can do too is that you can look at this little menu right here. If you have several sheets, like whenever I build them out for every school, then I end up having, close to 15 when I do every campus. So I can use that little table of contents right there to look too. So that is a whole lot of information. I hope that you maybe see something that you can use. This would be extremely great to analyze student data with, also to, get parental feedback and things like that. Google Sheets is a very powerful tool to be able to do those things.